What if it doesn't work?
It's got to work. Keep your fingers crossed. I'm gonna go. Okay, ready. Hey, help out. My arms are tired.
The hurt doesn't show, but the pain still grows. Some stranger to you and me. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord, but I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord.
So, we've covered 2 Godzilla films on the channel so far. The original Gojira, which is one of my favorite films ever made. Then, we covered the sequel, Godzilla Raids Again, which is one of the more bland Godzilla films in my baggy opinion. Although that film did set the trend for future Toho Kaiju vs. Kaiju movies that we know today through the matchup of Anguirus and Godzilla. The third movie continues this trend, and then went all out for the Big G's opponent. Today, we look at King Kong vs. Godzilla. I can't lie to you guys, this is one of the most anticipated movies of my childhood. I wasn't even sure it existed. I had only heard whispers and rumors at first. I grew up watching Godzilla movies ever since I could walk, as I watched them on the Sci-Fi Channel, and of course, through the few VHS tapes and DVDs my parents could get for me. Through trailers and whispers online, I heard of King Kong vs. Godzilla, so I searched high and low. I searched for years, from the age of around 7 to 10. I searched and I searched and I searched. I looked and I looked and I looked some more. I looked at Walmarts, Best Buys, even flea markets, but nothing. My best bet was FYE. They had the biggest selection of Godzilla media I had ever seen. But a lot of the time, they had copies of DVDs that I already had, or the ones I wanted were out of stock. The aisle with the Godzilla section was literally picked clean by weebs, virgins, and losers. My mom tried and tried her best to help me, but King Kong vs. Godzilla was always out of stock when we got there, and there was a specifically designated area for the movie by name. I had even seen all of the films in the Heisei series and most of the Millennium series. I looked and I looked. You have no idea how hard I looked. But fate stood in my way for years.
キーはどこだ？
キーってなんだよ。俺が知るわけねえだろ。
石橋を叩いて叩いて叩いて叩いて叩いて叩いて叩いて叩いて叩いて叩いて叩いて叩いて叩いて叩いてきたのに、本当に何も知らないのか？バルカン、貴様！貴様らが愚かなくせにキーを隠すからこんなことになったんだ。貴様ら一族は技術と才能とお人よしだけの毒され一家だ。
序盤にてめえ殺してやる。
私は石橋を叩いて叩いて叩いて叩いて叩いて叩いて叩いて叩いて叩いて探してやったのだぞ。初めからバルカンを叩いて叩いて叩いて叩いて叩いて叩いて叩いて叩いて叩いて叩いて叩いて吐かせればよかったのだ。本当に何も知らないのか、こいつは。
In fact, I nearly gave up hope. But one day, on a fateful trip to my local FYE, there it was waiting for me. King Kong vs. Godzilla on DVD, and not just that, but it came in a 2-pack along with another random kaiju movie I had never seen called King Kong Escapes. I was delighted, and finally at the age of 10 or 11, I got to see this legendary film. You see what I did there? To be honest, the film was slightly disappointing. It was very quaint, drags on in some areas, doesn't have enough kaiju screen time, doesn't feel as grand as it should, the characters were mostly disposable, and I didn't fully grasp the themes at the time in my childhood. This was one of the first movies that I felt like trying to dissect and figure out why I didn't like it as much as I felt I should have. What was so disappointing about the film at the time? Do I still have the same opinion? What is this theme that eluded a young bag Prince Brian? Does the film still hold up? Find out today on Baggy Ball Z. The film opens with a news broadcast of Eric Carter from New York.
This is United Nations reporter Eric Carter with the news.
The broadcast describes a strange phenomena occurring in the Bering Sea where icebergs are breaking down and the water temperatures are rising rapidly. This news report introduces the audience to these super special red berries. They have a non-habit forming narcotic effect and can be used as chemotherapy treatment. Dr. Makino was the one who discovered the red berries, which are named Soma. No, not like the video game. We also get our first mention of Pacific Pharmaceutical Company, which the good doctor works for. The doctor needed more berries for his studies and research. However, the natives refused to give up any more of their supply because they used the berries as an offering to keep their mysterious god at bay.
A giant monster? He must be putting us on.
We cut to the head of Pacific Pharmaceuticals, Mr. Taco. Yes, his name is Taco, and as a half Mexican, I approve, baby. Mr. Taco has a meeting with our main character Sakurai and Dr. Makino. Rather than be impressed by the miracle cancer-curing berries, Mr. Taco insists on capturing the god of the island in order to boost their ratings, I guess? Wait. A pharmaceutical company has TV ratings? Are they Umbrella? What content do they produce? Does it feature crime dramas, perhaps? Japanese Breaking Bad, maybe? I guess he wants to put a god on TV. If nothing else, Mr. Taco is a hell of a visionary, as he sends Sakurai to the island with the specific goal of capturing this so-called god. A UN submarine investigates the previously mentioned fluctuating sea temperatures. One of the icebergs appears to glow menacingly. The acting on the sub is really hokey and kind of funny here.
Captain, do something!
Abandon ship. All hands, prepare to abandon ship.
The escape hatch is jammed.
Captain, we're trapped!
The appearance of Godzilla loosely connects this film to the previous entry, where Godzilla gets encased in ice from a coordinated plane attack. You can obviously imagine what happens to a submarine in a Godzilla movie. Oh yeah, the king of the monsters is here, and things are heating up.
The world is stunned to discover that prehistoric creatures exist in the 20th century.
Bitch, if you don't get the fuck out of my face and go back to Godzilla, things were just getting good, man. So anyway, the nuclear option is considered, of course.
I see. Then you have discussed using the atom bomb.
Possibly, as a last resort.
I love these miniatures and models. This is also fun to watch and reminds me of my childhood. However, once again, when the going gets good, the big G gets cut off by...
Yutaka Omura from Tokyo, reporting that the situation is grim.
News of Godzilla's appearance has spread like wildfire throughout the news. Upon seeing how popular Godzilla has become by dominating the TV ratings, he seethes in anger and jealousy. Mr. Taco wants his own monster. We get to our Skull Island stand-in by the 17-minute mark, which is impressively quick. And yes, we get to a very 1960s era portrayal of island natives. However, if you've seen kaiju movies before, this is nothing new. I think it's hilarious and funny AF. So, don't expect some big grandstanding speech about how wrong this is for me. It's okay to enjoy things, just have fun. 1960s Japan was wildin' out here. What can I say? What can I say? The party offers the natives gifts and offerings.
See? Switch it on, like this, and you get 'em my magic.
Do the impossible, see the invisible. Row, fight the power, touch the untouchable, break the unbreakable. Row, fight the power, power to the peeps, power for the dreams, the missing piece, scattering.
A great roar in the distance causes the natives to begin a ceremonial prayer. Fumiko, Sakurai's sister, heads to Hokkaido, which is some bad news as that just so happens to be where Godzilla is headed next. Dr. Johnson attempts to explain Godzilla's origin for some reason, even though we've already gotten a version of this twice before, and every version has been a little bit different from the last.
I tend to classify him as a prehistoric species of dinosaur, possibly a cross between the gigantic Tyrannosaurus rex and the Stegosaurus, which is sometimes known as the plated dinosaur.
The village gets attacked by a giant hentai monster, octopus. The fighting, screams, and gunshots draw the attention of the island's god, or rather, its king. Kong proceeds to whoop some ass and scares off the octopussy. He then drinks the giant jars of red berry juice, which gets him plastered. So, while he is blackout drunk, he is transported to the ship through the power of convenient editing.
Yoshio Tako of Tokyo Television reports that the giant god of Faro Island, an enormous gorilla known as King Kong, has been captured and is being brought to Tokyo.
Mr. Tako drops in via choppa to inspect his prize. However, the Japanese Navy bars them from bringing Kong to shore. Godzilla seems to be attracted to the train lights, similar to how he was attracted to the lights of the bay in Godzilla Raids Again. The train screeches to a halt as Fumiko and the passengers try to escape. 10 out of 10 voice acting, by the way.
Hey! Come back! You'll be killed! You'll be killed!
And there's some bad editing here or there. Bitch, how did you end up in this position? Fumiko is saved in the nick of time by her boyfriend Fujita. Man, I hate the blue balls editing style for this movie. Like, what the hell, man? Godzilla and Kong come face to face for the first time, and it is epic as hell as they both square up for the fight of the century. It's epic as hell as Godzilla tries to drown Kong. Kong gets a hell of a punch on the Big G as both refuse to give an inch and... Oh, wait. Sorry, wrong footage. I can't lie, the first meeting here between kaiju is really underwhelming. As night falls, the armed forces begin their operation against Godzilla. However, as you may have guessed, they fail. During one of the news segments, we learn that for some reason Kong gets stronger by eating electricity like he was Frankenstein or something.
For some reason we do not yet understand, Kong draws strength from electric voltage.
Well, then if the electric blockade stopped Godzilla, it would not stop Kong.
No, it would not.
So, the military decides to surround Tokyo with high voltage power lines. Wait a goddamn minute here. I swear I've seen this somewhere before, and I'm pretty sure it didn't work then either. Kong literally feeds on the electricity.
I'ma eat it.
Fumiko gets captured by Kong, so she's our Andero for the movie. Anyone who says Kong has a type is a liar. Sakurai and Fujita arrive and offer to help the military with their Kong problem and save Fumiko. Sakurai gets the idea to use the Soma berries and the ceremonial tune of the island people to lure Kong into a slumber.
What if it doesn't work? It's got to work. Keep your fingers crossed. I'm gonna go. Okay, ready. Hey, help out. My arms are tired.
No evil for me. The hurt doesn't show, but the pain still grows. Some stranger to you and me. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord, but I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord, I can feel it in the air tonight. Oh Lord.
After saving the damsel in distress, the military decides to pit Kong and Godzilla against each other.
Let them fight.
Kong is transported to Mount Fuji via balloon. Anyone who says that the MonsterVerse is too goofy ain't been caught up to the franchise. The final fight is really cheesy and fun. As a kid, it was easily the best part of the movie for me. After getting his ass kicked for a bit, Kong uses his convenient lightning powers to get an anime power-up. And both titans tumble into the sea. We see Kong rise up out of the sea as he heads home. The film then abruptly ends with a send-off from...
And strangely enough, we wish him luck on his long, long journey home.
This is weed, pot, cannabis, Mary Jane. Ain't nothing cool about what it can do to your brain.
Ishiro Honda returns. Yes, the director of the original Gojira, who also directed Rodan, Mothra, and Varan the Unbelievable, among many other classics. Ishiro Honda had a preference for the more serious tone of the Godzilla films. Japanese wrestling was incredibly popular on Japanese television at the time, so it was incorporated into some of the choreography for this film.
And look at Randy Orton slithering. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
Just another way the movie expands on its television ratings theme. However, Honda was not a huge fan of the wrestling-style moves pulled off by the kaiju, or the humorous human traits the kaiju began to display more of here. These more human traits and wrestling moves were decisions pushed by the studio. The American cut severely trims out a lot of the satirical elements, resulting in the theme getting muddied in the process, which is too bad because a theme about TV ratings could have been compelling or have worked. In 1933, when the first King Kong was released, plays were huge, and cinema was only a few decades old at this point. Still in its infancy, one could say. Word of Kong spread through newspapers, first-hand accounts, or seeing him in person in an opera house.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to show you the greatest thing your eyes have ever beheld.
TV was not yet invented. Word spread much slower. By the 1960s, television sets were popular and more accessible to everyday people, both in America and Japan. So here, the form of human greed that seeks to exploit Kong is a television station that wants to put him on screens all over the world and gain ratings. This could have worked if it was truly explored. A witty, fast-paced satire of 1960s Japanese television is unique. It's not really the most exciting theme or main plot in a Godzilla movie. In fact, I prefer following a scientist, military personnel.
You'd hit a woman.
Yeah. Sorry, sweetheart.
Or even a reporter. There's way better characters, themes, and stories in other Godzilla films.
They know I'm a big boss, got a big boss in this bitch.
The theme of nuclear weaponry feels neutered. It is nowhere near as serious or as in-depth as in the original. This film follows the second and continues the trend of downplaying the nuclear theme.
Any way we can find to stop Godzilla must be considered.
I see. Then you have discussed using the atom bomb.
Possibly.
Sir, what about the atom bomb?
I'm not ready to discuss it.
But it's our only chance.
We hope it is not.
Why not?
Because we're not anxious to destroy Tokyo, that's why.
I beg your pardon, General Shinzo, but this is our latest report. Godzilla's nearing Hokkaido.
Excellency, we may need the atom bomb.
It is my sincerest hope that this will be our last resort.
There is a clash of tones at times in the movie. Honda disliked the studio pushing more comical, humorous traits to the kaiju. Honda liked to keep Godzilla himself serious and grounded, even if his story is more comedic or lighthearted. You can tell how serious he is about his vision with Godzilla in his solo scenes. These scenes are usually devoid of humor and are played ominously, like the original film. There are traces and glimmers of the original's dark atmosphere. The vast majority of the film is missing this gravitas, and the parts about nuclear weaponry feel boring and generic. Like they were just checking off boxes in a scene list rather than truly having to explore the series' more serious philosophy. No matter how you look at it, both of the film's main themes feel shallow and forgotten by the end. I am not a huge fan of the Kong suit. He looks very goofy, and even as a kid he looked incredibly fake to me. But in terms of writing, this is a fine portrayal of Kong. He lives on an island with natives, gets captured, loves the ladies, and he fights bad monsters. So, the Japanese did a great job preserving the core of his character, as the film portrays him as a sympathetic creature who just wants to live in peace, but is used by humanity for personal gain and profit. No surprise, the same can be said for the accuracy of Godzilla's portrayal, as he is a creature of pure destruction and death. This Godzilla is evil and irredeemable, just like the first two portrayals, which is good. As a design, I like it, but I don't love it. Again, there are other designs that I like way more. For example, a personal favorite of mine is Godzilla 2000 and the Millennium Era design. This reptile face looks cool and memorable, but I'm glad that it didn't stick because it does look really goofy at times. When it comes to the action, it's all just good, but again, every aspect is done better somewhere else. Want better characters? Go with the original, or -1. Want an over-the-top action fest? Try Godzilla Final Wars. Want a protector of humanity who fights against evil? Try Terror of Mechagodzilla, or Godzilla vs. Megalon. The action here is mixed, but overall, it is good. The goofy suits and stunt work are a joy to view in nearly every film. The military tries a couple of plans of attack on Godzilla, and those are simple yet enjoyable. They mostly amount to a big fire pit for Godzilla to fall in, and the other main plan was to electrify him, even though we've already seen how that doesn't work. While their first scuffle is entirely forgettable, the second confrontation goes all out balls to the walls. For the 60s anyway.
Like that! Like that!
The fight is decently paced and doesn't feel too short, although it does feel as if they aren't doing anything particularly new and cool with Godzilla here. We've already seen a lot of this imagery before. Godzilla stomping around destroying cities, fighting the military, failed electrified fences, and even Godzilla and another monster destroying a building that is in between them. This is all evocative of imagery we have seen already in the series, so it feels as if we are relying more on callbacks than creating new moments for Kong and Godzilla. We get much better visuals, fights, and plots as the series goes on. Here, we are still clearly in Godzilla's early days on the big screen, as the series' tone and atmosphere is still malleable and currently being reshaped from a dark allegory about the horrors of nuclear annihilation to a fun, goofy, kaiju wrestling romp. Would this tone stick around? Yes. Yes, it would. The characters are all pretty boring for me. Our main character is mostly fine, but that's not very high praise. I do like Mr. Taco, as he's just a weird, zany, over-the-top corporate executive who wants to buy and own a kaiju. However, his story never culminates or ends. He doesn't face jail time, die, or get his comeuppance in any way. He wasn't particularly evil either. He was just a bumbling dolt doing his job. The billionaire creator of Apex from Godzilla vs. Kong was underutilized as hell, but he has a much more fulfilling character end because at least he was definitely evil and at least he got his comeuppance. This guy just gets away scot-free and that kind of sucks. Fumiko is a boring damsel in distress, and the only thing she contributes is the meme-worthy rescue effort to save her from Kong's clutches. This entry is a more middle-of-the-road addition to the franchise. I don't hate it, as there are some entries that are way worse films, but there are a lot that I like way more. Although I do like this one more than the previous entry. As a whole though, this film is mid. Like a 5 out of 10, maybe a 6 out of 10 if I'm being generous. And that's not a bad thing. There is a lot to enjoy. The portrayal of the villagers is funny. The hokey voice acting and physical acting, it can be funny at times. And the final fight is bitchin'. The film is goofy and fun, but can also be dry and boring at times. The characters are just mostly bland and forgettable. They don't hold a candle to goats like Serizawa or even Dr. Yamane. I don't love this entry. The plot is boring and butchered by the editing and additions of the American version of the film. The stakes feel low and the atmosphere is much less serious than previously. To be fair though, part of that might be due to this being the first full-color Godzilla movie. The black and white films help the first two feel much more serious and dark. It adds to the atmosphere. Here, the footage can be bright, colorful, and cheery, much like the mood and atmosphere of the film. In fact, I think that's the reason why they tried to make Godzilla more lizard-like in order to appear more menacing than the film portrays him at times. King Kong vs. Godzilla continues the more comedic route laid out by Godzilla Raids Again. As such, the movie can feel very disjointed and conflicted with its own identity.